Hey, I was just diving into Tata Power's latest earnings report, and it's quite a mixed bag. Want to take a look?
Absolutely. Tata Power is a pretty significant player in the energy sector, right? I mean, their business model is all about power generation, renewables, and distribution. And they've got a pretty solid market presence across India and even some international operations. Plus, they keep dabbling in new stuff like EV charging solutions.
Exactly. They've got a whole bunch of subsidiaries like Tata Power Trading Company and Tata Power Renewable Energy, and they've been expanding their renewable energy footprint, which is key.
Good point. Any big strategic moves recently, like acquisitions or anything, those can really shake things up financially.
Nothing major in this report, but it's always something to keep an eye on. Okay, so let's jump into the financials. For the quarter ended December 31st, 2024, their consolidated revenue was around 15,793 crore rupees.
Okay, not bad. And what about the bottom line? What did they pull in as net income?
Their net profit for the period was 1,187.54 crore rupees, and the earnings per share EPS came in at 3.89 rupees before regulatory deferral balances. After those adjustments, it's 3.22 rupees.
Gotcha. Any one-time events or anything unusual that we should keep in mind?
Actually, there was a gain on dilution of interest in an associate, and there was also some provision towards stamp duty on merger, which impacted the profit before tax.
Okay, good to know those things are in there. How do these results compare to last year or what analysts were expecting?
Well, that's the thing. The report doesn't give specific analyst expectations, but year on year, their revenue is up. Now, let's move on to the balance sheet review.
All right, so what's their asset situation looking like? Are they holding a lot of debt or are they pretty liquid?
Well, their total assets stand at 1,48,122.64 crore rupees. The debt equity ratio is 1.46, indicating a moderate level of leverage. We need to check how that compares historically, but it's something to watch.
Definitely. High debt can be a red flag, especially in a capital intensive industry like power. Any big changes in their assets or debt levels recently?
Not huge shifts, but it's crucial to watch if they're taking on more debt to fund those renewable projects. Now, about cash flow.
Cash is king. How well are they generating and managing their cash?
They don't provide a detailed cash flow statement in this report, but we can infer from their profit and expenses that they're generating cash from operations. It is important to make sure that the company generates sufficient cash flows to sustain future growth. So,
Right. Got to make sure they can cover those dividends and growth plans. Speaking of which, anything on dividends in this report?
no dividend announcements in this report.
Too bad. That's always good for investors. So, what about their different business segments? Anything interesting happening there?
Yeah, generation, renewables, and transmission and distribution are the main segments. Transmission and distribution actually brought in the most revenue.
Makes sense. That's where the retail side comes in. Are there big differences in profitability between those segments?
Yes, each segment has its own unique profit dynamics. Renewables are growing fast, but transmission and distribution provides a stable base. Let's move on to the financial ratios.
Sounds good. Ratios give us a quick snapshot of their financial health.
Exactly. The debt equity ratio we mentioned, but also the interest service coverage ratio is 2.35, showing they can cover their interest expenses.
Okay, that's a decent buffer. What about profitability ratios like operating margin?
Their operating margin is around 15%, net profit margin is around 8%, and these metrics are key to understand their core profitability trends.
Cool. Now, what trends are you seeing when you look at the financials over the last few quarters or years?
I am seeing a consistent revenue growth. The shift towards renewables is also getting more pronounced. So that's a trend that's likely to continue.
That renewable push is probably driven by regulatory changes and, increasing demand for green energy. What's your take on Tata Power's outlook?
I think their focus on renewables positions them well for the future, but they need to manage their debt carefully and navigate regulatory changes effectively.
Yeah, regulations can be a double-edged sword. Any specific guidance from management about future earnings or strategies?
Well, the report doesn't include specific earnings guidance, But their strategic focus is clear: expand renewable capacity and strengthen their distribution network.
That sounds like a solid plan, given the market trends. So, what's your overall assessment of Tata Power?
They're a major player with a clear strategic direction, particularly in renewables. The financial health looks stable, but keep an eye on the debt and regulatory landscape.
All right, so investors should watch out for those debt levels and any big shifts in regulations that could impact their profitability, right? Disclaimer, we advise investors to check with certified experts before taking any investment decisions.
Absolutely. And keep an eye out for any dividend announcements in the future as well.
Good points. Well, that was a pretty thorough rundown. Thanks. Hey, if you're enjoying these financial deep dives, remember to hit that like button and subscribe for more.